Everyone in distribution and manufacturing seems to be mesmerized by product data enrichment tools and flashy chatbots powered by AI. And while it may be cool to create custom product descriptions on the fly and marketing copy, I would argue the real advantage of AI lives behind the walls, behind the scenes, translating and activating product data across the supply chain. If you've been unimpressed and you've dipped your toe, but you haven't seen the real impact, the real return on investment, stick around. In this episode, I'm going to talk about what I think is the biggest problems in distribution and manufacturing and how AI can potentially accelerate your team into levels of execution and optimization that you've only ever dreamed about. This is Frictionless Commerce. So I read an interesting article lately from Kevin Collins, and his thesis in the article was that AI investment is actually moving from flashy demos and front end experience to the more boring and more profitable area of infrastructure optimization. And I'm a big believer in this. In fact, I've said this actually from the very beginning. I said that a lot of the AI tools, the customer facing tools, the marketing tools that are out there are only as good as the foundational data that powers them. In our industry, I see a lot of flashy front end AI tools. Seems like one pops up every other day. There are really interesting products out there that you can subscribe to that will take your raw product data and will create custom titles and descriptions and bullet points and will transform data and enrich that data based on some scraping of manufacturer websites so that you can take something that is pretty low quality that you have today and immediately turn it into marketing, e-commerce ready product data. And that is really helpful, but it doesn't solve really the underlying issues. I also see customer service tools that are using AI to communicate with customers, make product recommendations, AI search tools. I see sales tools that are enabling the customer purchasing experience, enabling them to check stock, inventory, customer specific pricing. These are all phenomenal. Beneath all of this, under the surface, or as I like to say, in the pipes, behind the walls, is an infrastructure problem. And I call it the Tower of Babel problem. And if you're not familiar with that, that's the story in the Bible early on where all of the people spoke one language and God apparently confused all their languages. And now we have all of these hundreds of languages and different people groups all over the world. And the translation of language is one of the hardest things that we've had to overcome as a people. And once we've done that, though, the world economy opened up and the quality of life went through the roof. And we can really thank a lot of the benefits of modern life to solving the translation problem and being able to actually communicate with people across the world who speak completely different languages from us. The same problem exists in the industrial supply chain. Manufacturers think about product data completely differently than a distributor does. A manufacturer is creating the most detailed specifications and marketing copy to help them stand apart from other manufacturers that sell products within those specialized categories. So think about it. If I am a manufacturer, I am trying to do two things. I want to enable my sales force or downstream channel partners to be able to sell my products effectively. And I want to be able to stand apart from my competition. So I don't want my product data standardized so that it looks exactly like my competitors. And then the only way that I can actually win on the digital shelf or offline in sales is through price. That's a losing proposition if I'm a manufacturer. So I don't create my content that way. Now, what happens is a lot of the time is that the distributor does not want all of that. The distributor wants to transform and manipulate that product data so that it fits into their unique structure and it fits into their unique normalization rules. This is because when a customer of theirs browses their website or when their sales team is out selling products to a customer, creating custom quotes and proposals and bids, what happens is they want to be able to line up different products in the exact same way and be able to offer the correct product to their customer in a consistent way so that it is really based on application and price, or realistically, it's based on profit margin. This does not work really well for the manufacturer. And so there's a big gap between what a manufacturer has and what a distributor wants to actually go to market with, particularly when we're talking in the context of an e-commerce website. So raw manufacturer data has to then be translated into a format that a distributor will actually use on their website. And over time, to solve this problem, the industry has created different data initiatives to be able to normalize manufacturer product data so that a distributor can take that to their website. So there are what we call third-party data syndication sources, right? These are essentially master catalogs, right? And what they do is they gather manufacturer product data, they put it into one consistent format, and then they allow a distributor to go in and access that product data, pull it down, and now it's in a consistent format. But from there, the problem really is that now that distributor has to then take that product data, manipulate it so that it fits into their unique structure. In other words, their taxonomy, their schema, their consistency standards. And it takes a lot of work to do that. And so what happens is there are two massive backlogs in the supply chain when it comes to product information. The first backlog exists on the manufacturer side because they have to format product data so that it fits into the model that this third party syndication source requires. Or if they're working directly with one of their distributor partners, they'll have to format it into their format. Classic example of this is a marketplace like Amazon or a big box distributor like Granger. They have very strict specifications about how their manufacturers provide them with product data. Okay, so you can imagine if I'm a manufacturer, sort of the easy button is to just go ahead, bite the bullet, and load my product data to that syndication source. The problem with that is through the syndication pipeline, my product data gets stripped of a lot of its uniqueness. It gets formatted into one master catalog structure, and then it further gets manipulated on the distributor side. And here is the second bottleneck in our supply chain. The distributor has to take this product data and then it sits with their product team because this product data has to be filtered. It has to be just the products that they have in stock or that they're purchasing or that their customers will purchase from them. And from there, they have to load it to their system. They have to ensure that it's ready to sell, pricing is correct, and then to make things even more complicated, the end customer doesn't think like a distributor. So this is where transformation of product data has to happen on the distributor side. Their customers, their contractors in the field, their OEM customers, their utility customers, they all think differently about how they search, find, and buy those parts. And what has to happen is that basic raw manufacturer data, whether they're getting it from the supplier themselves or whether they're pulling it from a data pool, that product data then has to get transformed into their e-commerce standardization. And furthermore, it really should be customized for their customers. This is another bottleneck that slows the entire process down. So, in my career, I have seen this be a problem and it has not really been solved. We throw technology at it, we throw systems, we throw buying groups and associations at this problem, but it still remains. And that is that it can take months for a manufacturer to get their product information live on their distributor's digital shelf. Is your legacy commerce system holding you back? If you're like most distributors, your team is drowning in product data spreadsheets. Your sales org is disconnected from your website, and your customer adoption is, well, pitiful. It's a struggle that leads to costly errors and frustrated teams. You know you need to change, but you've been burned by half hearted solutions. And here's the hard truth: the world's best e commerce system is just an empty engine without the right fuel. If you power your systems with inconsistent, inaccurate, or incomplete data, the return on investment will be disappointing to say the least. And what about AI? We all know that AI has the potential to slash operational costs and create automated agentic commerce experiences. But AI is no different than any shiny new platform. If your data foundation isn't in place, it will fail. You'll just be automating chaos. This is why at Pivotry, we don't just build websites, we build data-fueled growth engines. We know the secret to both digital growth and AI readiness isn't the platform, it's the data that fuels it. That's why, unlike other system integrators, we provide a complete end-to-end data-first solution. We partner with best-in-class B2B leaders like Shopify, BigCommerce, OroCommerce, and VTEX. Then we connect the fuel. We use world-class PIM and MDM tools like Akeneo, Syndigo, and Stebo systems to centralize and perfect your data management practice. We integrate this entire stack with your ERP and CRM, creating a single connected ecosystem, the foundation for frictionless commerce. But most importantly, we don't just build in bulk. Our expert services team becomes your dedicated pit crew. We manage the systems, maintain the integrations, and ensure your data stays clean and accessible to your digital channels, so the growth engine you invested in actually delivers the results you expect. What does this mean for you? For manufacturers, it means your product catalog is pristine and ready to syndicate to your channel partners. You'll stand out on their websites with rich product details, driving more traffic and higher conversion rates. For distributors, we tame the chaos of manufacturer data feeds. You get a single, complete, golden record that you own. No more renting incomplete data. Your team is free from spreadsheet nightmares, and your customers get a frictionless buying experience they can finally trust. Stop thinking about just buying a tool. It's time to build a data-fueled growth engine, one that's ready for anything, including the age of AI. Book a call with the experts at Pivotry today. We'll help you build a free digital roadmap and guide you to the future of frictionless, AI-ready commerce. If you're ready to grow, let's go. Now, a distributor does not want bulk product information. They do not want a manufacturer's entire catalog. So this is another area where there is a struggle, right? It is the sifting through, the sorting of product data that has to happen so that I can merchandise that product data on my digital shelf. So imagine if you ran a brick and mortar storefront, right? And you place an order for products from a supplier. Those products are ordered very intentionally because I know that out of those 5,000 items that that manufacturer produces, my customers are only going to buy 500. I don't need the other 4,500 part numbers delivered to me in a spreadsheet. That creates more work for my team, and that is a real pain in the neck in terms of prioritizing product information and getting it live on my website. The other thing that doesn't really help me much, and to have a bunch of data dropped off in the back of my office, that doesn't really do me much good, because at the end of the day, having access to the data doesn't really matter. What matters is which of that data is actually live on my website generating revenue. So you can see that this becomes a massive problem for really everybody involved. The manufacturer suffers because their product information doesn't stand out on their distributor's shelves. The distributor suffers because they have to sift through mountains of product data, customize it, and normalize it and take it online. And the end customer suffers because the online experience is suboptimal. They can't find what they're looking for. And when they find the part number that they're looking for, oftentimes they can't trust. They're not sure if it actually meets their requirements. And they're not sure sometimes if it's in stock, how long it will take for the to get there. And all of this leads to a very poor adoption. We still are in mostly single digits in terms of total revenue being generated through e-commerce sales. A lot of distributors have figured out ways to increase online revenue and repeat orders through things like EDI and punch out. But the fact remains that e-commerce is still a really long way from being a significant part of a distributor's total revenue. And this, again, all comes back to the supply chain product content life cycle that is fundamentally flawed. So, okay, how do we solve this problem? How can AI help us in this life cycle? My thoughts are this: starting with the manufacturer side, my biggest problem is the translation of my product data to my distributor. And if I go through a third party, I now have a black box problem. I don't know how my data is getting translated by the third party or by the distributor. And I don't know if it actually ends up on my distributor's website. It would be untenable to think about checking every single distributor's website and monitoring my product data. That's part one. Part two is that my product data really needs to stand out. If I'm going to compete with other suppliers in my category, I need the most rich media. I need the best specifications. I need high quality descriptions. And all of this needs to be delivered to my distributor in the exact format they need to ingest my data and get it online fast. When we go through a third party, instead of our product content going online quickly with our distributors, it sits in a backlog, and it can take months and months for our product information to actually show up on our distributors' digital shelves. So if I'm a manufacturer, I'm skipping the third party data pools and I'm going directly to my distributors with content that is ready for them to take online. How do I do that? Well, it starts with a system and a process. Starts with a foundational platform, a PIM or MDM system like Akeneo, Stebo, Syndigo, Precisely. There's lots of good systems out there. You start with a place to run your operations, okay? Just like you wouldn't throw a bunch of inventory out in a parking lot, you need a warehouse. This warehouse or PIM or MDM system will be the foundation for which you operate your syndication efforts. Okay, syndication. Syndication is complicated, right? I think a lot of manufacturers have figured out that I have multiple channels that I need to send product data to. I have maybe one syndication model set up for Amazon. I have another syndication model set up for my top 5 distributors. I have another syndication model set up for a data pool or a third party syndicator. What we really need to think about is how can we use AI to translate our product data so that we can reach the long tail distributor channel partners that we have? How do we get our content onto our distributor's website faster? AI can help us with this. If our distributors can provide us with their normalization rules, their taxonomy, their schema, their consistency standards, AI has the ability to translate our data into the exact format that they require so that instead of it sitting in a backlog where it has to go through a transformation process, it can immediately be reviewed and published online. The other advantage of going directly to your distributors is that you can send them exactly what they need, not the entire catalog that they have to choose out of a third party. This is really important because, again, you're skipping the bottleneck. You're getting prioritized over the other suppliers that they have in their backlog. Now, as a distributor, why would I want to work directly with my manufacturer? The problem that we often find is that manufacturer requests for product data oftentimes live in their backlog. So if I'm a distributor, it's much easier and faster for me to actually go get the raw data from a third party source or even go scrape it from their supplier websites than it is to work directly with the manufacturer. And the way that we can solve this is if the distributor themselves has a PIM or MDM system that can connect into their distributor data feed. When they do this, they're able to make the lives of their manufacturer team a lot easier. And by doing this, they're able to skip the multiple step process that's required for translation and normalization, and they can go directly to the source, get exactly what they need and only what they need, and take that product data. It's already enriched. They can transform it with AI. They can change the description, change the product titles, and they can take that product data to their website faster. If our distributors and our manufacturers were using PIM systems that enable AI, this problem would largely be solved. But sadly, the fact is, many manufacturers and distributors are still using spreadsheets to handle this essential task for commerce optimization. The product data that you put on your website absolutely matters. The speed in which you can grow your catalog, the quality of the product data, all of it impacts whether or not your customers will adopt your website as their primary and first mode of placing orders, or whether you will attract traffic to your website and convert that traffic into new customers. This is the challenge that's ahead of us. We can solve it with better product data management, governance standards, good systems, and better processes will help transform digital commerce in our industry. It's a lot to think about for sure. And I didn't say it was going to be easy, but it is, in my opinion, the path to a frictionless commerce future for the industrial supply chain. Thanks for joining us on this episode. I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for more episodes. And in 2026, I'm excited. I'm going to be bringing on co hosts, I'm going to be bringing on guests who are experts in different fields of B2B e commerce. This is going to be a phenomenal year. Make sure that you like and subscribe to our channels so that you can always stay updated on the very leading edge of B2B commerce. Until next time, I'm Matt Johnson. And if you're ready to grow, let's go.